Alright, so now that we've got Kali Linux installed in a VM, what do we do next? You may be here with this is your first Linux machine. If you use Windows normally and this is the first time that you've installed any Linux flavor at all, you may be a little confused as to what to do. Luckily, Kali Linux is pretty intuitive as far as its user interface is concerned. A lot of these elements, if you've used any computer before, you will understand intuitively, as such as the folder system. There's a bunch of folders, there's stuff inside those folders. Now these names might be a little bit foreign to you if you're not used to a Unix-based system, but we'll get into, all of these different little things here. But you are probably familiar with a file manager, and you're probably familiar with the desktop, and up here you're most likely familiar with the proverbial start button, quote unquote. This is the version of the start button in Kali Linux. So the first thing that you're really going to want to do whenever you install any Linux distribution at all is to update it. And so how you update a Linux system is actually, you can do it in the GUI, but this is actually a good opportunity to dip your toes into the terminal. So in Kali Linux, the terminal is right here. You can click Terminal Emulator. You can also click the drop down, and Kali is actually quite kind enough to provide us with a PowerShell emulator as well as a root terminal emulator. We're not going to worry about those right now. We're just going to go with the regular terminal emulator. You can click on it here, or you can go and open up your start button and just search for terminal. So here I have increased the font size a little bit, as well as put it full screen, but I haven't made any actual changes as far as the functionality or anything like that. So first off, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to type sudo, S-U-D-O. This, or sudo if you're picky, this stands for super user do. And this is a command that you have to use anytime you want to run any administrative tasks or anything that's going to make significant changes on the system. Super user is the root user, and they have privileges to change anything on the system. A super user is able to delete the entire file system of the operating system if they so choose. So it's a very powerful command, and it's not to be used in every situation, only in situations where you know what you're doing, and you're not doing something stupid that you're not really sure what the effects are going to be. So here we are going to be updating the operating system. So we start off with sudo, and you can actually see that it already has suggested apt-get. So we're going to do that. And this actually might be suggested to me because I've typed it in before. If it's not on your end, then you can follow me. So it's apt-get, and then we're actually going to type update, and that's it. So we're going to go ahead and hit enter. And you can see it'll ask you for your password. That is because we are using sudo. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. And if you don't remember from the last video, your default credentials in Kali Linux are Kali for the username and Kali for the password. You can change those once you have the install. I'm just using the basic here. So now that that's done, we have not successfully updated Kali. It may look like that. It may seem like, sudo apt-get update would intuitively update things, but that's not quite the case here. What update does is it goes out to the Kali Linux repository, and it queries all of these different repositories here and sees if there's any updates that need to be applied to the tools and to the operating system. So now we need to actually apply those updates, and we will again use sudo apt-get, not update, upgrade this time. And optionally, you can use the -y option at the end to auto agree to any of the upgrades, because it'll ask you sometimes whether or not you want to install the update, yada yada yada. -y makes it so it just answers yes to all of those. So I'm going to do that here and press enter. And it will start updating and upgrading our packages. Now this is going to take a bit, especially if you've not done this before. Especially if you've installed an older Kali Linux distribution, it could take a while. So I'm gonna cut this off for now, and then I'll be back when it's done. And same for you. Come on back when your update is finished. Okay, so it's finally done. It took about 6-ish minutes for me. And I've run this before on this system, so definitely don't worry if it takes a little while for you to update your system. Totally normal. But now it's done. So second off, what we're going to do is we're going to change the default password, because Kali being your password, Kali being your username is not very secure. I mean, the whole name of the game of hacking and stuff is security. So we want to go ahead and change our username, or not our username, we're just going to change our password. So to do this, we need that sudo command again. So we're going to type sudo, and then we're going to type passwd, passwd. Obviously that stands for password, but it's actually a command. And then we're going to type in our username, so Kali, just like that. Go ahead and enter, and it asks us for a new password. So I'm going to type in a super secret, very secure password here, and you should too. So now if I try to sudo password, or I actually can't do that, because if you've noticed, every time I've typed sudo since the first time, it's not asked me for my password. So if I did sudo apt-get update, it doesn't ask me for my password, because the first time that I typed that in, it stored it, and it just continues to think that I'm authenticated. Now if I close this terminal and reopened it, that would be a different story, and I would have to type in my password again. So if I do that, oops. So if I do that, it'll ask for my password. If I type in Kali, like it was before, it'll say, nope, sorry, try again. Type in my new password. It'll start running the command. So those are the two things that you kind of want to do right off the bat when you install Kali, and now that we've done them, we are good to go, and we can start exploring. We can start looking at different tools and stuff that we want to look further into. I've showed you around the interface a little bit, but I'll show you a little bit more just so you can be somewhat more familiar with what's going on here. Obviously the trash icon, that's pretty ubiquitous for every operating system. I won't go over that. Up here we've got minimize all open windows and show the desktop. That's pretty self-explanatory. This is your file manager, so if you click it and do open folder, it'll open up your file manager. This is a basic text editor, and you can use it. It's got a line counter here, so you can use it for some basic scripting and coding and stuff like that. But there are other text editors that we'll be using. We probably won't use that one. Firefox, everybody knows and loves, a web browser. This one, when you open it up, will go straight to the Kali homepage here, and you can search about things in Kali that you want to know more about. They also are kind enough to give you a couple bookmarks here for the tools, the docs, the forums, stuff like that. So if you want to know more specifically about a specific tool in Kali Linux, like Nmap per se, you can search Nmap and then click on it, and you will get all types of information. This is a lot of info here. Got a bunch of different examples, a bunch of different. I think they even have the manual page in here. There's netcat, so there's lots of information here. It's a great resource. Just right off the bat, all you got to do is open up the browser, and there's tons of stuff that you can learn about right off the bat. We'll go more over that later when we go more in depth about each of the tools and what they do and some examples on how they work. But that'll be in future videos. Up here is your different workspaces, so you can click between them. So if you have a terminal open in this one and you want, say, Firefox open in this one, you can have two separate, like full desktop workspaces. You can see that if I'm over here, I can't like open up the web browser. It's actually in a completely different workspace. So you can use those to your heart's content. Over here we've got our task manager. If you're familiar with Windows, you know what this does. Shows you all of your processes that you have running, as well as your CPU and memory usage. Right here we've got our Ethernet or our Wi-Fi if you're using it. You can choose to disconnect. You can connect to a VPN. You can, whoops, accidentally disconnected that. Volume, easy enough. Notifications, and then computer. So this is useful. This is presenting mode. So basically, what this will do if you turn it on is it will prevent your screen from going to sleep. So if you have any reason that you need to do that, you can do that there. And then under settings, you can control what to do when the power button is pressed. That's not super applicable here since we're in a VM, but if you're on bare metal, then you can use this. And then you got your other basic like boring configuration options. I'm not really going to go through these because there's not too much that's out of the ordinary here. This is just basic PC administration stuff. Time, date, easy enough. Lock screen I'm not going to press because it's going to kick me back to the lock screen, but that's how you do that. And then log out will also, this is your shutdown button, restart, log out, all of those goodies. So that is the bare minimum basics of Kali Linux. In the future videos, we're going to go over some of these tools, and you can actually see the tools up here in the top left. And they even have them categorized for you, so you can really like get an understanding of what the tool is used for, and then whatever activity you might be doing, you can kind of find the tools easily. So yeah, we're going to be going through all of these. I'm going to try to do all of them, at least all of the the working tools and the ones that are some of the most popular ones we'll do first, but I do want to get into some of the lesser used ones as well. But for now, we'll go ahead and leave it at that. Let you explore, poke around, make sure if you see a tool in here that you want to know more about, you open up the browser and do your research on that tool, or you can go and find my video talking about the tool if I've put a video out, which I'm intending to do quite a few of them. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you in the next one.